Lovely to see you, Maryum, and that too on International Women's Day. I mean, we speak often, but we don't often get a chance to meet face to face. So it's really nice to see you. Ideally, it would be better face to face in the right same space, but I guess it's good to see you today face to face after a while. So, Maryum, what we thought today was that we'd want to share some powerful stories of successful women in business. And as I was thinking, who you popped into my mind because I think in terms of your business, it's non-conventional, it's slightly different. And I thought it would inspire and empower many women out there who perhaps were thinking of embarking on a journey, but really not sure what to do. There's lots of things that you do. I'm not going to take the spotlight away from you because I want you to share them, but I want everyone to know that Maryum has been on this phenomenal journey for, I would say, at least 15 years I can recall. And I've known her from school days. And in between, we have lost touch. So I'm going to hand over to you, Maryum, to inspire our audience on International Women's Day. And I know there's one other special message that we can also share, and you can with your International Women's Society, because I think that is quite powerful for everybody to know where you started, where it's going to end, and where it's going to begin again.
Firstly, thank you for having me on today and having this conversation. But let's just tell the audience that we met at boarding school. So I was 15. And so I have known Shazia for a long time. And as life, we come in and out of each other's lives. And recently with the International Women's Society, you attended a couple of our events, which was lovely. And it was so nice to kind of connect after such a long time. And there's certain people that you can connect with and still communicate, because I applaud your achievements also throughout the years. It's a journey of self-discovery, I feel, that anyone should master. And the first thing I would say is to master yourself and to enjoy the journey. And I think people don't enjoy the journey. That's the most important thing. So I think I've enjoyed the journey. And when I've enjoyed the journey, every chapter of my life, when it changes, I embrace it and I kind of learn something new. And it's that kind of self-development and style journey that I've had for probably the last over 2 decades. And but I started off with graduating with IT and management. I wanted to do law, and then I decided that I would do IT and management because it's the way of the future. And it was at that time the internet was coming around, and it was all the phenomena. And then I just decided that I want to do something that I've always wanted to do. After my father passed away, I thought, let me do something that I feel that I want to, like my passions or my creativity was flowing, and I didn't want to regret anything. And when you have chapters in your life where they're life-changing, that you feel that life is much more than just the mundane or just the 9 to 5. I've never done the 9 to 5, I tell you the truth, but I've always thought that I have a bigger purpose. I want to do more. That feeling and that curiosity that some people have, and it's called entrepreneurship. It is that little seed that's inside of you that you think, I want to do something more. I feel that I'm destined for bigger and better, and this is not what I want. And at that moment, and I was living in Gloucester. And Gloucester is quite a small town. I'm from the countryside, even more smaller, the only Asian Muslim family there. So, but you just have a bigger dream and you have this bigger vision for yourself. And that's what I had. And then I embarked into fashion and styling, and now obviously media and podcasting. But that's in short. But so much goes in that, in those few decades. But what a journey of self-discovery, I would say.
I think in your when I look back at your journey, Style Muggles is kind of like your I would say your flagship in terms of business, and you developed an ecosystem empowering women around it. International Women's Day 10 years ago, on International Women's Day, you launched 10 years today, and you are planning to end that era and start a new one. So I think that's an exciting share for people to listen to, because I think people would love to know what inspired you to start it, but now after a decade, why are you thinking of bringing it to a close? And when we say close, it's not like the end, it's just maybe pivoting or changing your dimension slightly. And why?
So the first question of Style Moguls, and yes, that is my image consultancy. I attended so many award ceremonies and charity events, black tie events, and I saw accomplished and such distinguished South Asian male and female, and I thought they don't represent themselves the best way. And why is that? They're not branded, and their image is not as on par and aligned with who they are. So I set up my image consultancy after studying at London Fashion College, and then also doing makeup. I had this whole skill set, and I thought I was the first image consultancy for the South Asian market in Mayfair, and always in Park Lane, always doing some event. Anybody picking up an award or giving an award, I was usually styling them. And I loved it. I loved kind of branding them and creating this image that would really represent and reflect their personality. And I really enjoyed that. And that really was my kind of first accomplishment, I would say, the first stepping stone of achieving something that I've gone from a IT traditional, degree and working in education, and then going into fashion, which is a completely different arena. And I changed careers in my early 30s. You don't think that, you can change careers, but I think it's not about you. You have to come with this mindset of that you can do something. And if your heart desires it big enough, enough of a why, then you will. You just have to have that gumption inside of you to do something. And that's what triggered me to do everything. But the image consultancy was the stepping stone, and I used to profile so many corporates. So every time I would style somebody, I would interview somebody. So this is kind of a reflection of what I do now, my podcasting, but I would do it in blog form, in a written form. Whilst I was doing their styling and makeup, I would just have this kind of semi-interview alongside, and I would ask them questions about how they started, about where, about some of the challenges. So I've always been so curious as a person of learning about life and learning about myself. And I think that is the core, that you have to be so curious about yourself and what are your potentials and what is your capabilities. I mean, I love learning about so many subjects, a lifelong learner like yourself.
Yeah.
But learning about oneself and what else you can achieve, I mean, that gives me the thrill. Like, what else can I do? What else can I, so you have your goals. I mean, I'm a big goal setter. I love to put things in my diary. And it doesn't mean that you achieve everything, but, aim high. And I think that is what I've always been doing. I think when life changes, your style changes, you evolve. And I think it's not about anything else but a journey of evolving as a person. So when I got married and I moved to Dubai, what had happened was that I didn't know anybody. I moved and I didn't know a soul. And the first year my mother came to visit, and it was it was February, and March was approaching. She goes, "You love International Women's Day. You're always doing something.
Mm-hmm.
Why haven't you done something? Why aren't you doing something?"
Yeah.
And so we started off with 17 ladies in Dubai, meet every Saturday, a connection for not just expats who were from England, but it was really a bridging gap of the locals and learning about their culture and traditions and the expats. And I met some phenomenal women throughout my journey there. And 10 years. And we now, when I left, it was nearly up to 800 women that we had coming in and out of the society. So absolutely brilliant. We moved it here, and then we had COVID, and, all those things happened. But sometimes things aren't meant to continue. And I am one of those people that if that was a concept and an idea for Dubai, it worked very well there. And then you have to look at things in different audiences, different tastes, different habits. And that was that. And that was then. And I'm not someone who will always look back and want to hold on to things. I'm someone who's future forward. I like moving
Yeah.
forward. I was like, what's next? And so the next venture that I have is Ladies High Chai. And it's really about women in tech, women in creative industries, content creators, because we are moving into this next era. I think life will completely change with AI. So it's really AI focused, it's about content creation, it's about more digital landscapes. And I'm using my IT skills that I was when I was a teacher,
Exactly. Yeah.
and just using it and kind of and plowing them into this new venture. And I feel that as women, we get stuck, we get stagnant, we don't move our energy. And so I've always been taught by my father that, Bete, if you don't move with the times, you're going to get left behind. And
Yeah.
so I've always concreted that in my mind, thinking, okay, I'm going to learn something new. I'm going to move with the times. So, and I think one should. You've got to start enjoying yourself, enjoying the journey. And if you're not enjoying your life, I feel that it's not where you're meant to be. Something is not aligned with your personality, your skills, your passions, and you have to kind of match those and do something that is for you. And it's all about creating this new identity. But I do feel that women need their own identity, even if they are
Absolutely.
married, even
Yeah.
if they have children,
Yes.
even if you're a daughter, you're a sister, you're a mother, you're a wife. You have to have your own identity. I used to scream this from the rooftops of like, have your own identity, because I saw it, around me. I've seen it as South Asians, first generation children to immigrants, and you feel that there's a set of a certain narrative that we had to follow.
Yeah.
You had to do a traditional job, you had to work 9 to 5.
Agree.
And I think it was more about security and stability. But we live in a world where we don't have to have traditional jobs now. We don't have to follow traditions. Creativity is all about thinking outside the box. So I've never been put in that box. Yes, I
Maybe
admire
it's our
and
boarding school
yeah,
spell.
we followed a certain tradition, but I think also it depends on oneself. Yes, follow tradition and our Islamic values, but you can still do so much
Yeah.
within that realms. Keep modesty, keep your faith, but why not do other things as well? You know what your heart desires, and you need good people around you, obviously, to support you, to encourage you, because it's very difficult having an idea and everybody around you doesn't share that vision. I do believe that Allah's given you that vision for a certain reason, but it is up to you to really instigate that and go out and kind of learn more about what you want to do. It's just life is too short. I feel that you have to do as much as you can and prove to yourself. I think it's nothing about anybody else. For me, it's always like, what can I do? Where do I want to be by next year? What do I want to accomplish? And what do I feel like I want to contribute to my society and women around me? I have always had strong women in my family. They're educated, but also having that community. When my halas had a problem or when they had a difficulty, they would get together like this. And
Yeah.
they would be there for them, each other, and they would listen and they would support. And I've just seen that around me. And that's why I think I've always wanted to create that same atmosphere with women, support them, encourage them, celebrate their wins, be there for them. And I feel because I've come from such a big family, when I moved to England, I didn't know anybody. And the same when I went to Dubai. I always create communities, want people to do well, laugh, enjoy life as much, because your learning is much more better when you're enjoying something.
And as you
So
were sharing your sort of inspirational story, because you've done a lot, there were some key words that I made a note of because I thought I'd
yeah.
pick them, and I think they're quite important for perhaps some of the women or even men watching, because one thing I find that people don't do, and I know that you and I do that a lot of, and a lot of successful people in business do that, is invest in themselves. And when we say
Yes.
invest, when you talk about learning comes with an investment. And when we were speaking on the phone the other day, you categorically said you don't call it cost, you call it
No.
investment, and some people see it as a cost and will back away from it. So I guess my question for this particular point is, why do you think? Because I've never been able to assess why people can't invest in themselves. You know, you are the most important. You're for yourself, that self-love, and for your creation and for your progress, you're important. So we invest in other things and purchases, but what happens to people when it comes to investing in themselves?
I feel also it depends on your values. You know, what do you value yourself? And some people, it's not even about self-love. I feel it's all about value. You're put on this earth, and automatically you are valued because you're here, because Allah chooses you to be. You know, you've been created by Allah. That is enough love to start off with. But I feel it's all about when somebody doesn't value you, or you don't feel validated, you can't make those decisions. So it's finding that courage inside of you to believe in your own self. I think, again, it's more of a self-belief than, and when you have self-belief, when you have people around you that are confident and willing to encourage you and support you, I think that is a stepping stone to, again, the investment in yourself. They want you to strive. They want you to win. They want you to do bigger and better, even better than them. You know, I love women who are doing bigger and better. My students and my mentees from my charities, I love what they're doing now. You know, I see them and I'm so happy for them.
They say, don't they, an empowered woman empowers women. And you've just given a beautiful example of that, rather than sometimes we do see the opposite as well.
I've never seen it that way. And maybe I've never seen it that way. I've always thought about connection and collaboration and help. I've always thought about strength with women rather than any competition. And I think that's just been my mindset, maybe because I've learned it from my aunties. Maybe I've seen it around me, and it's just osmosis. I've just taken that in. So I've just had that mindset. It's, again, having the right mindset before you even make any decisions, and that creates your self-awareness. You know, what happened with me is when my father passed away, I realized that I don't have brothers and a father, and I don't have family around me here. I've got to do something for myself. Obviously, I spent a couple of, months really brewing in my own sadness, and I needed to accept this chapter and this profound human being that I had in my life that gave me such wisdom. But my father was very wise. He actually gave me so many principles of living life that I have applied them in my own life. And I feel that gave me that instigation. But it really is about what you want out of life and having that support system that instigates that seed. I feel that when you invest in yourself, and I can't even remember, I work in style, but I can't even remember the last time I bought myself a nice fancy luxury handbag, because I feel that I can buy 10 handbags if I invest in myself and put it into my own self. I am the biggest asset. I am the biggest reason of creating those other things in my life. But again, it's growth, it's understanding, it's maturity, it's about life, what you want to experience. Still have fun. I still love going out. Yeah. But I think you just have to, when you start investing in yourself, you start learning, you start changing your mindset, you start changing your vision, the way you see the world. And I love styling for changing perceptions, not only about yourself, but how people react to you as well. So it's not a way of just spending money. If you think you're spending money, then you're spending it probably on the wrong thing, or you're still not there, right? Yeah. You're still not in the right mindset to think of what it will achieve. Because I don't think about, oh my God, what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? I think about my end goal. Where am I going to be? How do I see myself? So if you actually focus on the end, like enjoying yourself, seeing yourself, and I think it's all, again, vision. I really look at vision and imagery. That's visualization is a big one for me. Yeah. So I think about myself in my mind, sitting on the beach in front of, in this gorgeous sunshine, beautiful aqua colors, sea, really enjoying myself with family or friends, whoever you want to go with. and you have to instill those feelings and really
connect.
get yourself in that place where you're really, enjoying your drinks on the beach and enjoying the sunshine, relaxing, reading a nice book, however you feel. And I feel when you feel those feelings, you're automatically there. And I've just spent like the last 10 seconds in Maldives. But what I'm saying is that if you actually start to create an abundant mindset where you think of abundance rather than scarcity, rather than lack, that's where life changes. Think of yourself as that you can do anything. Anything is possible. If you think of how and when and what, you're never going to achieve it. Start thinking of abundance and automatically will start and look at opportunities. Something else will come your way and think, oh, actually, I could do this or I could do that, because your brain will create these pathways of opportunities. You will start looking for opportunities instead of looking for lack or disappointment. You will start looking at everything with, oh, wow, a different, fresh set of eyes. I wear glasses and I feel like my vision is super powered. Maybe I can see better than you. That's why I think coaching, we can predict things well before we predict behavior. We've studied psychology. So there's so many things, that aspects that I have learned, NLP coaching, that incorporates in where you are now. But it's a continual journey of growth and development. And you're going to do this for the rest of your life. Don't think of it as a chore. Think of it as an enjoyment of a just exciting journey that you're on, because who knows, when life is here and when it's taken away. So enjoy this journey, this beautiful experience in creating this experience with other human beings. And you have to feel that. You have to feel that about yourself. Maybe invest in coaching and good mentors, because they will guide you, they will help you, they will support you. And I feel it's even more important in this stage, Shazia, because the world is so busy. First you had parents and you had uncles and aunties around you, or you had people that would advise you, they would help you. But the life now is so busy. It's so no one has time to even see each other. It's like sending a text message and that's it.
And
you know what I mean? Before you would go around, you would sit in someone's presence and have conversations. People would make time. And I feel you are responsible for your own life. You are responsible of taking action, making your life better for yourself. No one else is going to do it. You have to do it yourself. And this is the hard truth. You have to do it. Nobody else will help you. You have to help yourself. And I've had those realizations many, many times again, where you think that people would support you and they will help you, but experience tells me time and time again that you are responsible for your life and you have to take action. No one else will.
And leading on from investment to coaching or mentoring, whichever avenue you decide to go on, I think, some people think that, I can get free content. But there's so much free content. And like you mentioned, people are busy, but there's a lot of noise out there. And people tend to spend so much time going through perhaps the wrong content. And I'm not going to say waste. It's just, again, they're learning, but the time that they're spending is not enabling them to move faster. And I think, again, every successful woman that I've spoken to has said that they've invested in coaching, because what it does, it puts them on a more structured path, gives them accountability, and makes them move in the right direction faster. Someone's been there, someone's done it, they're going to pull you along. Why would you not do that? So, I mean,
that's what I learned as well, Shazia, that, I wanted to do something and I didn't know how. How does one change from a career in education, being an IT teacher, even worked for the prison service, worked for race equality, evaluated software for government and learning. So, what does one do and wants to go into fashion and become a makeup artist? And then I went into being a stylist. But, again, it's about research first, knowing that you want to do something. The difference between a mentor and a coach. Mentor has that lived experience, they have that knowledge, and they have that journey. Coaching is more about frameworks and tools that a coach can provide, but not necessarily a lived-in experience. Now,
In your
alhamdulillah, I like to
industry,
have
yeah.
both. I
Mm.
like to always provide experience and guidance on what I have, my experience, and I think that's probably the easiest way. However, with NLP coaching, it just gives you much more of an insight of the possibilities and some certain frameworks of how someone can achieve something, or maybe those blocks and barriers that they have. But what it does allow is, yes, taking somebody's life experience, taking somebody's knowledge, and having a guide and someone who's accountable to keep you on track and get you to your destination in sometimes a matter of months. When you are on the internet, when you are searching for yourself, you have no guided support or someone who's teaching you maybe in correct manners as well, maybe a step-by-step process, because there's sometimes you might learn something step 10 and you realize actually you forget number 1, 2, and 3.
Mm-hmm.
So how laying that foundation is so important. And when you're not guided, you can make these very costly and very expensive mistakes. Just for example, when I'm teaching podcasting, people think that, they can just pick up a mic, start recording, but there's so much preparation beforehand. What do you do during the interview? What do you do afterwards? How is the whole scenario going to come together? There's so much knowledge. I have nearly done 100 episodes of my podcast. I have much more lived experience in the last 5 years than anybody else would. So understanding that someone can guide you and prepare you for your journey quicker, faster, painless sometimes. Sometimes that money can be down the drain. Why would you want to invest in sometimes not the right mentoring, but you need someone who has that lived experience that actually speaks their achievements. You can see that. Going and doing it yourself can be very expensive, buying wrong equipment, doing wrong things, taking more time. So coaching allows you to do that quicker, but with, I would say, accountability. Having the right accountability is absolutely paramount. That is I would say, the key to coaching. When you have accountability every single week, because you sometimes are so busy you forget to do things, and when somebody checks in and says, well, did you do this? And sometimes we make excuses for ourselves, and it's allowing your coach to maybe bring forward some matters that you've been ignoring. Why do you ignore them? Why do you hide away or shy away from them? Let's address them. So maybe it's to unfold certain things and behaviors that you've been doing for many years. And that coach will allow you then to unfold your challenges and really pull out that full potential for yourself. And I think that's the beauty of it all, that you see that personal growth, but you see them flourish and accomplish, and that gives you the best satisfaction as a coach.
And on that note, you're being coached right now. I don't want to take the spotlight away. So I know it's something that a lot of people think about doing, including myself. And it's not, you're never going to have the right time. Like you always said, there's never the right time. You've got to make it happen. And getting that coach makes it happen. So what are you being coached about right now? That is tangible and exciting.
It is exciting. I think, again, every year you must put down some goals for yourself. And I think one goal that I put down for myself every year is one big, massive goal that I think, okay, this is the year that I'm going to do this. And I have this bucket list and I'd like tick off everything. And I've been wanting to do this for a few years and the time was never right. I did NLP coaching last year. Even though I'm a coach and mentor, I wanted to upgrade myself. This year, I decided to write my books because I have like nearly 3 decades of experience, from career change to fashion to, media now. And I've decided to write my book. So I have now a coach, and I did some research. I've known this coach for a while. Her name is Shah, and phenomenal entrepreneur, and has written several books herself. And you have to learn from the best. You have to invest in getting somebody to give you that framework, that knowledge. the right way of doing it. There's always the way. There's so many ways of doing success, right? There's so many paths to success, but some can take you longer. And you really have to have a right. I think I would like to probably list a number of mentors and coaches maybe in the future that people can go to, because that are, like, when I said that I'm working with Shah, you said, "Oh wow!" Like, I didn't know that you were working with her. And like,
And
next
also,
time I
because
write
I
my
also
book,
am inspired by
yeah.
Shah Osmond, and I have attended some of her live events as well.
But then I kind of met her at the London Stock Exchange. She invited me to one of the events, and it was absolutely amazing. And I always knew that I was going to work with her, but it wasn't, again, it's about timing. But
Yes.
you have to make that timing, and you have to put that forward. You have to make time for yourself. And as women, I would feel that we put everyone first. Everyone's on that top of the priority list. And where are you? You should be number one in your list. You are number one in your life. And I don't think that many people do. As caregivers, as I'm a carer for my mom, people have children, their families and responsibilities. I think we sometimes let time pass so quickly, and years go by, and we forget about our own dreams, our own aspirations. I always think that when someone gets married, why doesn't the husband ask the woman, like, what do you want to do in life? What are your aspirations? What are your dreams? I think we just kind of traditionally, times have changed now, but in the past, it was all about, we just go along with what the husband does. Especially in South Asian culture, I'm speaking for myself as a Pakistani. We just go along with what they want, and that's it. No one really asks about us. And I was having this conversation with my mom, and I said to her, Ami, what did you want to do when you were young? And she did say something, and I said, I looked up, and I said, oh, did anybody ask you like what you wanted to do, or what about your dreams and ambitions? And she said, she just shook her head. And I just started crying. I was, oh my gosh, this is like, it was so touching, because I was like, nobody asked anyone. No one asks women, what do they want to do? What do you want to do? Circumstances do challenge people's lives. Not everybody has the same path. You can change your life. And that is probably what I would want women to think, that where you are now is not where you're meant to be. You can do certain things. If you think you're stuck or you're going through a challenge, then get help. Ask for advice, how to move forward. If you feel that something inside you, we all feel it. Like, we feel like, I want to do something else. I want to be somewhere. I want to, like, you feel that, then go with that feeling. Go and do something for yourself. And I think that that's what we've got to encourage women, to have own identities, have their own dreams, own aspirations, as well as families. We can have families, we can look after people, but you have to look after yourself, most important, because you are the common denominator. If you don't work, if you don't invest in your health, in your mind, in your education, in your social circle, in your in spirituality, who will do that? I think you have to invest in yourself. It's all about your personal journey. What is it that you want to do? And do something different for yourself. Really take that challenge upon, and asking yourself these questions of, what do I want to do? How should I start? You have to really sit with yourself. And get if I would just suggest something, little exercise for women, mainly women, because it's a women's episode, but anybody could do it. It's just to pull out a blank piece of, like, pull out your journal, pull out a notebook, get a pen, and just start writing things. What for a good, put the timer on for a good 15 minutes, and don't let that pen stop. Just pour it all out. Just dump whatever's in your mind and your heart. Just put it on paper and look at it and think, what do I like? What if I could do one thing this year, what would it be? What sticks out on that piece of paper? Something will resonate. Ask yourself these questions. Sometimes it's a childhood ambition that we've kind of suppressed, and usually it is when you're looking at career changes or doing something different. I feel like sometimes there are those things that are suppressed in our childhood. This is something that I always say, that to do something that you really love, really love your own style, because it is when you love yourself your own style, what you do, you'll just achieve much more faster. Because when you have those challenges, when you have those days where you don't want to get out of bed, or you don't feel like doing anything, when you have those passions, and when you have that feeling of like really, you wanting to do it, you will find ways of getting out of bed. You'll want to get out of bed rather than being forced to do something. I love what I do. I love community. I love styling. I love coaching. I love events. This is my natural way of being. So when you match your kind of personality and passions together, it becomes a very effortless way of being. It's just much more easier to find that success in what you do and what you have already. It's just getting maybe a coach and mentor to extract those qualities out of you. And sometimes we don't realize how amazing we are until somebody actually says, you know what, actually, when I started podcasting, people were like, actually, you speak really well, Maryum. And I was like, oh, really? And so I never thought of me being a speaker. I always thought of, a teacher or someone behind the scenes. I've never been in front of the camera. And when women are in front of the camera, they're froze, and you have to speak from your heart. You have to love what you do. And I think that makes it so much enjoyable. So you might discover things about yourself you didn't realize that you actually have capabilities to do. And when you start discovering yourself, you'll unfold these new possibilities. They're endless. Absolutely.
I think you kind of summarized the South Asian and the cultural side when you said that we all grow up in this sort of bubble, if you like. And my perspective on this is perhaps there are a lot of women who are not getting out. Therefore, they're not networking or meeting. Networking doesn't necessarily mean it's business related. It's just connection. It's community connections. Therefore, they're not seeing beyond the conformed mindset or the conformed lifestyle or the bubble that they're in. And therefore, they may have an intrinsic motivation to do something, but self-doubt comes in because they're not sure. So I think it could be that this whole notion of community building and networking and getting out and meeting other like-minded women or women who are ahead of the wave perhaps might inspire more women to then take that step because they've not seen anything any different. And that, I mean, I feel like that's probably, and I know that we've kind of traveled a lot and I think the travel and living in different parts of the world, meeting different types of people also gives you that spark of, if she can do it, why can't I? And they do say, don't they, you become one of the 5 people you associate yourselves with. So to close this off, what do you think, or lastly, in terms of the word legacy, legacy is used in multiple, the perception is, or the interpretation can be varied. Some people see legacy as a financial something they leave financially for someone, of their loved ones. Some see it as a message or that they can share and that can be left behind. Some see it as creating something which is perhaps more, like schools or a mosque or, I mean, it can be anything really. So in your view, what legacy do you hope or would like to leave through the work that you do and the accomplishments that you've achieved?
So I believe that everything starts with a conversation. But I do feel that when you look at legacy as like a final destination, sometimes it seems like hard to fathom. And for me to put it into a box, again, creativity is outside the box. Never thought of it, just putting a label on even legacy. I would say my personal legacy would be that I would like to have left every person that I speak with in a more positive, happier place. I'd rather like to touch their hearts and make them feel that they are valued, they're seen, and not having to maybe fight for a seat at the table, but to say you're welcomed at this table and you're appreciated at this table, and to feel that everyone is inclusive, because it was all about, being inclusive for this year and the theme of International Women's Day. I feel that you're already accepted. You're already welcomed at my table. And that's how I would like to leave somebody, that you're welcomed, you're seen, and when you leave the table, that you're leaving with a much more happier, more positive mindset and feeling. I think that is what I would want to leave with every single person, rather than a legacy at the end. I feel like a legacy is in every conversation.
I love that. The fact that you said it's with every conversation, and that impact is more, it's not specific to something. It's just making that mark, adding that value to everybody's.
Yeah, adding value. Exactly. I just want to leave somebody in a better place than when they came to me. I feel that if I can just help them see, change their perception, maybe improve their style, improve their confidence, and just leave them in that happier place. So I feel like legacy is every conversation, rather than just one achievement or a couple of achievements or awards at the end of life. I feel it's every conversation.
And isn't that a beautiful end to this conversation? Because, when you speak to different people, everybody has a different perception, and everybody who will listen to us will also have a different mindset, different perception, and we just don't know whose heart we're going to touch and the impact that it could have on somebody. And you never know, you may have someone reach out to you. Maryum, I heard you speak and you touched my heart, and can we connect? Because that's, as you mentioned, that
absolutely and I think it's all about encouraging women and creating that community, especially as South Asians. I feel like we're ambassadors for everyone to connect, to collaborate, to do bigger and better. I mean, we are skilled, we are talented women, individuals. You just don't know it. And even if you do that,
and the platform that I was the platform that I'm excited to launch on International Women's Day is Empower, and one of the taglines is to connect, collaborate, and empower success. So as we said right at the start, an empowered woman will empower women, and you've made that quite clear in your final statement, that you want to empower everybody that you talk to, and I think that's a beautiful message to close on. And we could carry on talking, and
absolutely. Maybe we could do a part
conversation as well, because that's
absolutely.
But I think we've had a lovely conversation about how to work with each other. I think the women watching out there, just connect. Maryum's going to be building another community. She'll be putting out content about what she's building. Obviously, those who know me know that I'm doing things, and we both are the type of people who do multiple things. So we want everybody to have
absolutely. And people say, like, you have to choose your niche. What do you do? I feel like, start off with one thing. And start creating. I love content creation. I feel like life is one creation, and some people find it so hard to as business owners or individuals to talk about life. But look, as women, we can effortlessly talk and have a conversation, and that's your starting point, to have that conversation and learn about yourself.
So give that time, invest that time, and have those conversations, because you don't know what conversation could
exactly where it leads. Absolutely. Inshallah, you never know.
Thank you so very much, Maryum. And I'm really excited to come to one of your events. I'm sure there's a couple coming up. I think there's one coming up this weekend, and your high chais are happening all the time. The only drawback I have is where I live, but you know what? There's no excuse, so
absolutely. We definitely want to create more of a digital community as well, because it is worldwide. However, the live events are, there's an energy and there's some great networking in that. So yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Shazia. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. Have a lovely, lovely day, and we'll connect again soon.